Options.
Hello.
There's absolutely no option whether or not just to slam the live button, even if we're ready, whether we're ready or not.
I like doing it because I feel like it keeps you guys on your toes.
That's definitely what I need to be on my toes.
After doing this for a decade, you
Yeah.
can't put me on my toes when it comes to podcasting.
But I feel like I'm the most unprofessional host, but it's also what makes it spicy and fun.
Spicy. It's a good word.
You say so.
I like my podcasts like I like my books. Spicy.
Spicy
Okay.
and fun.
I really thought you were going somewhere else with that. But this is the book we read. Who chose this one?
I did.
Okay, Justin. Then you describe it. What did you
God.
describe the book last month?
I described the last 3 books.
Okay, calm down there.
That's not true.
Relax. But Bobby, if you would like to describe it, since Justin's very apprehensive.
Apparently, very, very apprehensive about describing the book that he assigned. So, Ordinary Monsters is what you call it, a historical fantasy? Is that that's what we classify this as, right, Kelsey?
Yeah.
An historical fantasy book about a set of people who have extraordinary powers and that are being hunted by a mysterious evil and trying to be helped by a place called the Carndale. I don't know how you would say it out loud because I've never said it out loud. They're being sort of organized into like a Professor Xavier school for extraordinary children in Scotland. What's going on at that school? Why they're being collected is sort of the big topic of the book, I think. But it's it is a good versus evil type of story. Evil could spill out into our world at any moment. What's holding it back? What sacrifices? What must we make to hold back the evil of the world? How evil must we become to hold back the evil of the world?
And that's Ordinary Monsters.
That's Ordinary Monsters. Thank you, everybody. No book club next month.
I would really like to know your thoughts because I finished this 15 days ago. I know you guys finished it.
We know. You said you wrote a nice review of it, even though we continuously talked about not writing reviews of books we're doing the book club for.
And I continuously bring up that I have an issue not doing that.
Yes, though this time you went even farther than normal, because usually you just put the stars and you say full thoughts on the book club. This time you were like, here are the stars, and here's a full review of this book.
And then at the end, you're like,
if you want to hear the full review, though, come listen to my book club. I'm like, I think you already left the full review, Kelsey.
I avoided it on Goodreads. I couldn't. Right. It popped up on Instagram for me.
Justin, you got to bring the microphone closer to your face, my friend. You sound like you're in another world.
See, Justin, I told you, it's not just me. I'm an expert.
Back, that was my problem.
Yeah, you sat back.
Now, now I like.
There you go. Now it's nice,
now
warm, beautiful tones coming out.
Dulcet tones.
Dulcet tones. I just finished the book a couple days ago. Justin finished it before you did, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. I finished it. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
6 weeks ago.
And what were I need to know Justin's thoughts because I feel like you're always a mystery. And I feel like me and Bobby are on the same page here. So I'd really like to know what
Ordinary Monsters is a 3-star book.
Okay. It's gonna be so much interesting though, Kelsey. If he had been like, "This is 5 stars,"
I was literally.
I would be excited for that.
I would have judged him so hard.
Jeez,
Kelsey, trust me. We judge you just as hard back because Bobby and I have a side chat where it's like, let's see what Kelsey rated this really great book that we both love. 1 star.
Okay.
Shocking.
2 seconds.
No.
What book are you talking about that it's that vastly different? Because I feel like you guys judge me in books you haven't read, and you're just like, everybody likes this book.
No. I don't judge you on those.
And if it's Andy Weir, I don't want to hear it. I think Andy Weir is a horrible writer. I've read multiple things by him.
We're not going to get into this right now.
No, we're not here to talk about Andy Weir.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. Anyways, Bobby, would you rate it?
I would say 3, maybe 3.5. If I'm feeling generous, but it's definitely like a 3-star read for me. Yeah.
I rated it 3 stars, but I think I'm going to lower it. I think I was too generous.
Okay.
I feel like it's a 2 to 2.5 maximum. Okay. I'll leave it at a 3 because I want to be kind, but I really did not.
I'm sure JM Miro will appreciate you leaving your Goodreads at a 3.
Well, it seems like everybody reads my reviews and judges them, so I don't know. I don't even know what to talk about with this book because I feel like I would listen to a chapter and it would leave my brain. Like I literally like I remember specific things and I feel like those things are the only reason why I would leave it at a 3 stars, which was really like Marlo and Charlie. I really like them as main characters. Well, I wouldn't even consider them main characters. I think they're catalysts
Yeah, they're more
over
supporting characters.
over
They
main
become
characters. I
they
don't remember
become
the main
more
characters.
central. They become more main as the book progresses towards its end, I would say. But for the most of the book, they are supporting characters.
I don't remember the main characters' names. So
Oh,
Alice Quick.
I remember all the characters' names for the most part.
Alice was the one that takes them.
The American with the like the one that was like, you know, trying to takes Marlo from the.
Oh, she has a crush on the professor.
No.
She's like,
no.
Yes.
No, that's Harrogate. You're thinking of Margaret, I think.
Oh. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, I really they went in one ear out the other. I only cared about the children.
You are the professor, though, Kelsey. You're supposed to structure this conversation in some way.
Honestly, I've been dreading it because I actually don't know what to talk about this book. I found it so mediocre, and like I don't know. It didn't bring anything new to the conversation. And besides the magical kids, like I literally don't remember anything else. I can tell you everything about the magical kids.
Okay.
I can tell you about Jacob.
Yes.
And that's it.
Mr.
So,
Jacob Marber.
See, I forgot his last name. I just remember it was Jacob.
It's a good villain name. It's a good.
I think it is a good villain name.
Yeah.
I also think I would really like him.
For sure.
I was reading this and I was like,
I could fix him.
If this was a movie, yeah. If this was a movie and they cast him with black hair, I would be like,
Bobby and I went through our casting for a couple of these characters.
I think really just for Alice we were talking.
Alice and Jacob. We nailed Jacob.
I need to know.
What was it? Who did I say? It was Wes.
Wes Bentley, I think is what
Wes Bentley.
Wes Bentley, you said. You look him up. You know who he is, Kelsey. If you look a picture of him up.
Where was he that I know this actor?
He's been in a lot of things.
A million things.
It was American Horror Story.
Yeah, I was gonna say American Horror Story. I think the the primo casting would be like an Adam Driver situation, but it would definitely be Jared Leto. If this movie was made, it would 100% be Jared Leto.
You think?
Yes, 6,000%, because that's the world we live in.
I would protest.
I'd love to see like an against type Chalamet might be good at that part, since he looks like a little Victorian boy.
Timothy Chalamet.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could, and he already like has his footing into like bad sci-fi fantasy book to movie adaptations that are better. Though. Yeah.
That movie's
great.
I
guess Dune is. I'm not watching. I refuse. It's.
I know. We know you're Dune.
My
feelings.
little protest. Yeah. I feel like we should read Dune together.
I don't want to read Dune. I tried to read Dune. I have no like want to read Dune. But let's talk about Ordinary Monsters. How about we talk about Ordinary Monsters?
Sure.
So Kelsey, other than the kids, you didn't really. There wasn't really anything else memorable or likable really in it for you.
Like at all. I don't even remember what the kids were doing. I know that there was a scene where they went to the head professor and the head professor's like, I'm recruiting you guys for a specific reason that I don't remember, but it was something to do with dreams and stealing something.
Nothing to do with dreams, but
they were in a dream world.
It wasn't a dream. It's the land of the dead. What are you talking about, Kelsey?
Did you read this book?
I want to show you guys like how look how many I had in the beginning of tabs. I was and then slowly there's nothing. Because I was fed up. But anyways, go on. If you guys would provide this is a test, and if you guys would provide a better summary, maybe I would know what you're talking about.
So Carindel is basically because this book, I think let's say generously uses a lot of other tropes from big media properties as sort of its pillars.
Generously.
This school is like basically on a hellmouth, essentially. It's on like the border between the living and the dead world, and there is a talent. They call them talents in this in this
Oh
book.
yeah, that's important.
Mr. Thorpe, who's called a glyphic, who's like ancient and basically holds the crack between the living and the dead world sealed shut. And there is a beast on the other side called the Draugr, who's trying to get through and do something to our world, as well as we learn there are other things there too. The first talent, there's other monsters down there. It's very like sort of upside down, from Stranger Things ish type of world in a lot of ways. And there is like this, the glyphic is dying, and the barrier is starting to fail, and our two opposing forces are Jacob and the Draugr are trying to basically bust open this seam and let the dead flood into the world of the living, and the people at Carindale are trying to stop it from happening. The head of the Carindale is this Beargast, Dr. Beargast, who is a Halen or a Healin, they call it in there, which is basically they can heal from injuries and has lived for hundreds of years. And he's sort of like, a little bit suspect about his motivations, about why he's doing, what he's doing. And he's kind of using these kids to sort of try to find a way to extend his life and gain power, essentially, is what's happening. Yeah.
He's like the bigger villain.
Yeah, sort of. I mean,
that's how I don't know. He gave me those vibes.
He definitely has like, yes. He
at the end of the book, at the end of the book, he comes off more as the villain than Jacob does, I think.
And this is we can get right into this.
Jacob
if we want to.
Jacob has motivations.
If we want to get into this right away, we can. I think the whole idea, the Jacob character. Let's just start there. Talk about the bad guy, because I do think it's one of the stronger parts of the book. I think Miro tries to do a thing so many of these books do, and so many of these stories do, which is you think he's the bad guy, but is he really the bad guy? But by the end, I think he does a terrible job of not. He's still the bad guy. He kills so many people. He kills so many people, and he's like, but I'm only doing it because they got in my way, and I want to eventually save everybody. And I'm like, okay, dude, like you're not doing like. There's no misunderstandings about people who died, but he didn't really kill them. I kept waiting for that to happen. Like these people who died, he didn't really kill them. They just
not that I want to encourage or validate mass murders, but
good to know.
I think sometimes you can have like an anti-hero character that is at their core bad, just that they have values that can explain away their sort of bad behavior. And it kind of reminds me of like Magneto.
I was going to say Magneto.
Your microphone 100%. Is to stop screaming in my ears.
You're both screaming and too far away at the same time. I don't know how this is happening, but you got to get that mic closer to your mouth, Justin.
I was, and Kelsey yelled at me. I'm lowering the gain.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think Magneto is, like, I could make a joke and say Anakin, but like, I think Magneto is an actually good, like, character or good example of this kind of like obvious villain, and they are still bad, and they do still murder people, and they use murdering people to validate their points.
Yes.
But their intentions behind the murdering is good. And I think that if J.M. Miro was a better writer, it would have, I think, not been appreciated by all, perhaps by me, but not by all. But it would have just made for, I think, a stronger character, because you can still understand the intentions behind the mass murdering over just leaving him as this character that we're like filling in an intent instead of like it being shown to us.
Because really there is no good reason why he's doing any of it.
He's upset about the fact that, this is what I understood, and obviously I didn't understand a lot. But he's upset that they are being used, and then he's also being used by the evil,
The Draugr.
the Draugr. In the audiobook, it's a woman, so
Yeah, it's a
I'm
woman.
not.
It's a woman in
Okay,
the.
okay, yeah,
in
it's
the,
a woman's voice in the
yeah,
audiobook.
he describes her as a woman.
Okay.
When he sees her.
So he's being used, I think, by multiple forces, and then it's sort of like a who's going to use me the way that I want to be used type of ordeal. I think personally.
But I mean, again, this is why I think it's just like the writing of this part of it. I don't think is very good. Is the fact that like he kind of joins up with the Draugr way before he knows what's actually going on at Carindale. Like he only learns it after he goes into the other world on the boat or whatever, after he saves Kamako.
He's trying to get his brother back.
He's trying
to see his brother.
And look, I get it, because he only says it, I don't know, 50 times in the book that his brother died and is trapped was trapped over there. By the end of the book, I was like, dude, I get it. All right. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to hear about your stupid brother anymore.
But Bobby, how else are you going to know that he's a sad character?
I mean, I will say this. My biggest issue with the book is, and I sent a joke, I think, to both of you about the author page, which I was like, where was this brevity in the rest of the book?
Oh my God.
Because it's one line. I don't care that the book is 670 pages. That doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is the fact that like it would have been I think a pretty good 400-page book, you know?
Solidly
Good book. I would have enjoyed it, and I would be like, I'm looking forward to the next one of these books. But he does two things which I just want to, which make it feel like the book is wasting my time, which is something I get so frustrated by, which is that he repeats the same ideas and things over and over and over again, and it's not ever just one sentence. It's always like 2 paragraphs, like re-explaining to you something. And then also this thing where at some point he starts telling the story from multiple perspectives. Like he'll be like, okay, we're going on one train, one set of plot stuff with a set of characters, and then now I'm switching to other characters, but always starting like before the end of the last section. So you're kind of repeating events, which is not inherently a problem. But the fun is like they would reveal something, and he would reveal something in a chapter where you're seeing it from Jacob's perspective, and then would then reveal it to another character in another chapter. And I'm like, I don't care if Charlie is shocked by this fact. I've known it for 100 pages already or whatever. And so I'm like, you can't do, like, you're not getting any, there's no dramatic tension there. Like you need, like, you don't have to, sometimes it would be like, okay, these events are going to happen. And then a chapter later, that character who experienced the events explains the events in almost as long a time as it took to read them happening to the other characters who didn't experience them. I'm like, it's such a weird thing because this is I think their first full-length novel, this writer, that no editor was like, you gotta cut this. Like this guy, like like I don't like, it doesn't feel like a first-time writer would get this kind of like license to do that kind of stuff. But that was that, like, I felt the book, and because I know you feel differently, but I felt the book started very strong. Like
you worried me. I was like, so what's the vibe? And you're like, la la la, and I was like, interesting. I'm gonna be the only one that thinks this.
I like how you guys have these separate conversations without me.
Bobby just said you had a separate conversation too.
Yeah,
and you guys talk shit about me in your separate chat.
We talk about your bad reviews. Yeah. That's it. We don't talk about the actual book.
And I already told you about this conversation, Justin. But we, but I feel like the stuff that led up to them getting to the Institute the first time, I thought was pretty strong. I thought it was like exciting. I thought I think the one thing that he is very good at, is that the actual like action or adventure scenes, I think I was drawn in by them. Like when they're escaping out of the hotel room window from Jacob, I thought that scene was exciting. The train sequence I thought was exciting.
The train sequence was exciting.
You know, when they were doing that stuff, I thought that stuff was exciting. It was the parts where he got into more having to stitch together plot threads that he was setting up earlier and trying to pay them off, where I felt like it felt a lot like he got to the point where he had to pay him off and he was like, I already decided I didn't really want to do this anymore, so I'm just gonna sort of from this point change the outcome. Like the thing with the Glyphic's heart at the end, like there was that whole thing about getting the Glyphic's heart, and then immediately the heart's gone, and he's like, well, I guess I can't use this anymore. I'm like, why did we build this up for
I literally
100 pages?
I'm lowering my rating. You're so the thing that was the most detrimental to this book is it's absolutely this incessantly long, horrible pacing that I just could not handle it. I was so bored. It took pages to describe like a pin drop. Like it was insane how long scenes were. And I think if this book, I think J.M. Miro could probably tell the story that he wants to tell in one huge book. I think there's so much in here that's unnecessary. I don't think I don't think we needed the whole, like, I think we could, the beginning part was good. There are moments in the beginning part that are good. I don't think the beginning part needed to be as long as it was. We could explain Marlowe and Charlie's like upbringing either throughout the book in specific flashback scenes or specific explanations that they might have. For another thing that really bothered me is that the lady who took care of Marlowe his whole life, she just dies. And it's like, it could have just been Alice. There was just a bunch of things that I feel like could have been easily explained away, and added pages and unnecessary backdrop to characters that I think could have been explained with less characters and less scenes. I think that death is supposed to be important for Marlowe as a character and his need to save Alice and yada yada yada. But it could have just been done with one character. Instead, he's raised by like three. It was too much for me to keep up with. When those two characters that first raised him don't even matter in the end. I think they could have just been one. One character runs away and one character takes care. The explaining of that. I don't know. There was just a lot of stuff that I just felt was too. I know Komoko's stuff is probably going to be more developed in like a later book. I would assume that's what I would do if I was J.M. Miro. But I feel like that probably could have been explained later. And
see, I like the Komoko.
I do like it too, but I feel like it comes at such a random time because I personally feel like his placing of the parts was also awkward.
Yeah, I agree with you on that for sure.
So it's like we're meeting this character before we enjoy her as a character. In a chapter where we're explaining Jacob, and then she just shows up and she's like, hey, like they get to the school and she's like, what's up? I'm Komoko. And then we're like, that's the character that we just met. Whereas instead it could have been more developed if the editing was a bit better and putting these chapters more sporadically and splitting up, I think, the parts. And that would have been a lot more effective in my mind because we're spending so much time with Marlowe, and then randomly we're thrown into like a Jacob story, and in that story we're also learning about the two other girls, and then they go to the school, and we're sort of just supposed to accept like, oh yay, now they're all friends, when I feel like it would have been more effective to have them as all friends and then explain Jacob, Komoko, and what was her name? Gibbles? No, it wasn't Gibbles.
Ribs?
Ribs.
Gibbles?
Yeah, Ribs.
Yeah.
So like I feel like that would have just been a better editing style and a far more effective thing, because that whole chapter was like, why do I care about this character? Like, who is this?
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming she's going to be a villain, and she's not. So I'm like,
she's a good guy.
Yeah. So I'm like, why? I'm confused.
I mostly agree with all your points. I will say though, I feel like, although maybe its placement is not the best place for it, that chapter was one of the few, or that section was one of the few sections where I felt like he was actually economical in what he was doing, because he was telling you about Jacob and introducing you to a new character at the same time, and using both of their backstories to sort of inform one another. So like that I actually liked. I was like, okay, this like this is cool. They're tying these people together, and then when she shows up later, I was like, okay, I know this person great. Like, and now I have some understanding of what's going on. But anyway, Justin, you haven't got a chance to really talk, very much at all. How do you feel about the book in general? Like, you haven't really got a chance to even talk about that.
Oh, it's all right. I'm listening to you guys and just being like, sure, like, to me, again, I'm not like thinking about the way that chapters are placed or things like that. I come to this as, I guess, your average person.
Space, just speak your
also,
truth.
It's a feeling. It's a vibe.
Yeah, speak your truth.
I think I come to you. I'm like the stand-in for like the national audience when it comes to these things, where it's just like the average person that picks up the book, reads it, and goes, "Huh, all right, I guess I'll read the next one." That's
Would you actually read the next one?
Oh yeah, I'll read the next one.
Kudos, brother.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's fine. Not everything has to like shake the ground and
here you
spread.
Yes, this does not shake. Yes, but Justin, there's a difference between you don't have to shake the ground to be competently written. Like that's there's a difference between those two things.
I do read books for fun, Justin. I don't just read books to analyze them and hope that they give me some philosophical thought process.
We haven't talked anything philosophical, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about it.
No. I get all that, but like Kelsey was saying before, like it doesn't bring anything new to the table.
I don't think it does.
That's fine for me, though. That's fine. Most things are copies of other things.
True. I absolutely no. You're right, Justin. And I think the sentiment is more. If you're going to reuse like a lot of these tropes, which is totally fine, this happens across a lot of the things, even the things that we think of as the sources are probably not even the sources of the things that we're actually these tropes that we're actually talking about. But I think you have to deploy them in interesting ways, and I don't think he deploys them in particularly interesting ways a lot of the time. That's, I think, my main complaint about it.
And that's fine. That's like totally fine. Like I didn't rate this book 4 or 5 stars. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, it was a book that I enjoy. Like, I enjoyed my time with it. I felt it was a little bit overlong for the story that he was trying to tell. I agree with some of Kelsey's points about the way that things could have been deployed. Like, it felt like, like to me when I read it, I was like, it feels overlong, but I'm glad that somebody could show where he could have probably cut out some of the meat. Yeah. But again, like, to me, like, having those standard plot points and having like a simple way of describing, like, okay, this is the world of the living, this is the world of the dead. Like, to me, it felt very much, which I think is intentional on his part, or a lot of his motivation is, it felt like an X-Men comic.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is an allegory for the X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, Kelsey brought up before Magneto. Like, it would not shock me if his idea of Jacob was drawn on Magneto, because a lot of the other stand-ins for this book come from the X-Men.
Well, like Marlo and Mystique, I think, is a very obvious, like, sort of the blue skin. I think that's like coming from there. The children's school.
The head that has nefarious things behind him. The bad guy who is a bad guy but does things for good reasons in his mind for good reasons. Like, I get it. Like, to me, like, I get all that, and it was fine.
Like, I think like
to write home about, but it wasn't the worst thing I ever read.
Yeah, like, to me, when I say things like it didn't bring anything new to the table, like, to me, that's the difference between like a 5-star book where I'm like, oh, this is taking tropes and things that I know and turning it on its head in an interesting way, and that would be a 5-star book. And that's why something like this would be a 3-star. What I'm interested in knowing is, what plot points in this book would you want further development or more, like, to know more about, to give the next book, let's say, a chance? Like, what in the plot or what in the book keeps you like, oh, I think I would pick up the next 800-page book?
For me, it's as simple as just knowing how the thing ends. Like, I need to, like, it's very hard for me to start something and then drop it without knowing how it ends. I will suffer through most things to see how things end. I watch all these Godzilla, like Bobby and I saw Godzilla -1 last night, and it was fantastic.
It was fantastic. It was
Minus
Um,
one.
It's called Godzilla -1. It's the first like Japanese
Oh.
Godzilla movie in a very long time. It was
Cool.
excellent. It's like a war parable. It's about PTSD. It's about all this stuff. It's a really great. It is an example, just an example of something that uses something that's been done a million times, but does it really really well. And there's a that's like the difference.
That's
is like
okay.
it's like there's a difference between like Godzilla -1 is both like straight down the middle entertaining for people who just like big a big monster that destroys shit, right? But also has like the sort of like Jaws, like you care about the people who are interacting with this thing really well. It's like the opposite of like the bad version of that is like like The Day After Tomorrow or Moonfall or one of those movies that's like, oh, this is just dumb fun. It's just dumb. It just isn't fun. It is not fun to watch. And like that's kind of the difference for me between like a book like this, which I don't think is as bad as like Moonfall. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I don't think it's dumb.
It's not dumb. It's not dumb
Yeah.
at all.
To me, like for me, like this is the equivalent of like a summer popcorn movie.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, like I'm not thinking too hard about the character development, the plot. It's more than anything else. It's the overall story. Like I'm not like looking forward to seeing like, okay, well, like how is this going to pay off with what's the character's name that does the dusts?
Jacob?
No, the other one.
Oh, Kamiko.
Kelsey brought up Kamiko. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Like who?
I'm interested to see where that goes, but it's not like there's specific things where it's just like I need to see what happens with this plot point.
Okay.
It's kind of I just like for me it's the overall like plot itself. It's just like yeah, I'll read the next one when it comes out a year from now, and we'll go from there.
Like I would be interested to see how the second book tackles perhaps the issues that we have in this book. I'm interested to see if it's shorter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how like Jacob's character would develop. I'm certain.
I mean,
I
Jacob
think
dead. Isn't Jacob
when
dead?
did that happen? No, he's not.
Yes, he is. The what's it called? The key race or whatever, the key race cat dog demon thing.
It's a cat.
Like I guess he's not. I guess he might not be dead because it like knocked him off a cliff or whatever. And
Okay,
fell down
yeah,
a cliff with
they
him.
didn't say he was dead.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right about
Okay, you literally, I was like, how much was I not listening to the
Yeah, yeah.
last like 5 hours?
that.
Anyways, back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
And obviously, like Marlowe, I think is going to be a far more crucial character. Like you get the very obvious implications in this book when they're saying that he's important. He gets stuck in the not dream world, but the parallel
the
death
world
universe
of the dead.
that
It's the
we're
world of the dead.
The world of dead.
It's known as the Orsine or whatever it is. Orsine.
Orsine.
Orsine, is that what it's
That's a word that sounds familiar.
Yeah,
yes,
the
it is
Orsine.
pronounced like that in the audiobook.
Okay.
And so there's going to be that major plot point. But again, like this is an example of like a series I just won't continue unless the second book, like people are like, whoa, he flipped it on his head. Everybody's giving it 5 stars. Then I'll be intrigued.
I mean, it is his first book, right? It is his first book, so
it's not.
But it's not his first full length book.
He wrote under another name.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. This is his pen name, I believe.
Oh, okay.
He wrote under
That's something a professor should tell us beforehand.
Yeah, sorry. He wrote under the name Stephen He's from Canada?
Okay.
Did you guys know that?
Didn't it say he lived in like a
It says Pacific Northwest.
West.
He's trying to be a little mythical, but his real name is Stephen Price.
Oh, okay.
And he's a Canadian poet and novelist, British Columbia, OBV. And he has a bunch of books.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Let me just open some of them randomly just so we can see how long they are. One's 326 pages. One is 600 pages. Another, he has some novellas as well.
Oh, okay.
But I have a feeling that those are probably more indie published, and then this might be perhaps like his first like traditionally
It definitely
published
is. I mean,
novel.
because or at least under this name, because there's nothing else
Yeah.
under the name when you look up the name. Justin, to your point though, and what you're saying, this is definitely one of those books where I'm not looking for anything deeper than what he's giving me, right? This is definitely a plot and character forward book, right? So when I talk about the things that bother me about it, it's not, when I'm reading it, I'm not thinking this chapter should be over here and this should be this. I just have this vibe of like, I feel like a little bit bored. I feel a little bit frustrated sometimes. And so then I try to figure out, why am I feeling those ways about the book, right? Because there's something, I've read plenty of books much longer than this, that I haven't I've zipped through, right? And I think that,
well, you guys are going to see what Brandon Sanderson.
we have a Brando. That's good. On our month off from the book club, Justin and I are going to be reading a little Brando Sando.
Get ready for the king.
But my problem really, and I said this before, and just reading it, was like, I felt a bit like sometimes I was like, I'm wasting my time reading this. That's how I felt sometimes.
Me too.
And I just don't want to feel that way. Like, whether I'm reading it for fun or reading it for this, I want to feel engaged about what I'm reading, and not feel like I said to Justin yesterday when we were at the movie, I was like, I'm so glad we don't have the book, because I felt like it was like hanging around my neck for a month, And
It took me so long to read this.
It took me a long time to read it. And I read the first 200 pages very fast, and then the middle 200 I read super slow. Like, I just was having a really hard time.
Fascinating, because I blew through this book in like a week, if that.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
It's because just like the,
You read it so fast.
I'm just gonna read it. I don't think about those types of things, and that's probably to my detriment. Where I just like, this page is going on forever. I scroll to the bottom. Okay, I don't have to worry about whatever happened in the previous 3 paragraphs. But I think I do that in like every book. Sometimes
I'm sorry,
when they
are
get
you
a little
saying
bit.
you skim read it?
No, I read the whole book. I definitely know the plot better than you do.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I'm telling you, I don't think I listened to the last like 10 hours.
But the thing is, like, sometimes, like, for me, like, authors just like the sound of most authors really do like the sound of their own voice, and they get very wordy, and it's just like, I've read this. Like, but for me, it's not like a source of frustration. It's like, I don't need to worry about this. And I skim right through it and get to the next like, I get to the bottom of the page, and I'm like, okay, this whole explanation thing is over. But it doesn't, like, jump up in my head. It's like, they shouldn't do that. It's just like, I just skipped it.
I think the fact that you're skim reading it,
yeah, that's evidence that
is evidence that
Yeah.
you're not
Some of my
enjoying it.
favorite books I skim read. Like, that's just the thing. It's like, for me, it's like, this is boring. This is boring.
Like, some of your favorite books have whole sections that are boring that you don't want to read?
No, like whole sections, but it's like a paragraph here. It's just like, I don't care about this. And I'll skim to the bottom and be like, there we go. Like, we're back up on the main plot of the
Justin,
story.
you're
blowing my
fascinate me.
Blowing not the fact that you do that, because I do that with books that I'm like I do
too.
that with this book for sure. I was like,
Hang on,
I do not need to hear about Bertolt again from Jacob talking about his brother dying. So I'm just gonna look and just make sure I don't see any other names I don't recognize.
I adore this book. And there were whole paragraphs in here. It's just like, this isn't important. It's just word filler.
Now I don't want to read this.
Yeah, me either.
My
But I
camera
read
froze for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
First of all, you have the like thing that when you make movements, it like does
Really?
things. I don't know if you noticed. Can you do this again? Why did it do it for you before?
I don't know.
That's so weird, because I thought it was just like MacBook computers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
Well,
anyways.
I do have a Mac. I am using a Mac, so that might be
Okay,
what
I
it
think that's
is.
what it is. And if you go like this or something, like, anyways, we're not gonna think about it now.
Yeah, okay.
We could do it after. But I find that very fascinating, because, like, to me, if I'm skim reading or I'm not listening, like, I knew right away when I was missing major plot points, and I would like like my brain would be like, oh yeah, I'm listening to a book again, and I would just like start listening again. I probably I did notice that, and I only would miss like 3 paragraphs, and I'm like, that was too long. I was not listening for way longer than that. Like, to me, that indicates that I'm bored. So I'm really fascinated that, like, you're still able to appreciate a novel.
Yeah, because, like, for
despite
me,
there being paragraphs that you don't
maybe
like.
it's the fact I have a short attention span, but, like, some of my
Stop
favorite TV.
putting yourself down.
some of my favorite TV shows, I like look at Twitter while I'm watching them, and I'm
Oh, me
like, oh, I
too.
missed what was ever happening there, but this TV show's still great.
Yes, but
Like,
a
that's the
TV
same- that's the
show
same-
is but a television show is a passive experience. Like it's getting
Because you're like
delivered
listening
to
to
you
it too.
no matter what
Yeah.
no matter what happens, it's getting delivered to you. A book, and that's the reason why I'm harder on books in this way, because if I'm reading a book, I have to actually read I can't look at my phone and absorb the book. So I've got to like,
I can tell you it didn't work for this one.
yeah. And you know, so that was really my main issue. Is like by the end, I was like, I did it happen again. It happened
It's
again
because
with the camera.
It's the new update. I don't know if it's StreamYard.
Oh, I got it. It's wait. I turned it off. There's a reaction thing on here. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I see it now.
and because I don't stream from
look
my
at all these
MacBook.
things that you can do.
I know, but because I have a PC, I can't see them, so I don't know what you could do.
Ooh.
But like Mac has these updates for StreamYard.
Ooh, yeah. I just added some effects to my camera. I didn't know that was possible.
Okay, don't
cool.
brag.
Cool. Anyway, so here are some things I did. I don't want to say everything I didn't like. I mentioned the action scenes. I thought the action scenes were quite good and quite gripping at times. Like the train scene, like I said, the escape from the hotel, I thought was really cool. I even thought Charlie running away from the what's it called? Not the Wraith. What are they? The
Don't ask me.
Walter, the like monster that Jacob had with him all the time with the sharp teeth.
Vampire.
Wasn't a vampire.
Oh,
Kind of like
the
a
one that
vampire.
chased Charlie on the streets.
Yeah. It's not called a Wraith. Why can't I remember that? Why
I
can't
haven't-
remember
I
it?
haven't-
Lich.
Lich.
The Lich. I thought that scene was really good as well. You know, so I thought that stuff was good. I liked Alice quite a bit. I thought
I liked Alice too.
I
And
love
when
Alice.
she was in the book, I thought it was at its best.
Mhm. She had the most engaging chapters, POV, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked that. I liked, as opposed to a lot of the other characters, I liked the way that they gave her backstory. They did exactly what you were talking about, Kelsey, with her backstory, which is they sort of he threw it in when it would comment and enhance the
When it
events
was
of the plot
important.
that were happening. Instead of just throwing you into it seemingly randomly. Other thing too, this is just an aside, and this is just a me thing. I'm terrible in books, in movies, in TV shows when they put like a title card up and they put a year on the title card. It like
I
goes,
understand
it
what you're
goes
saying.
out of my brain immediately. My brain does not absorb it. So when I go to the next one, it's like 1776. I'm like, wait, what year was the last section?
Okay, that happened to me in the second section because I was like, why are we following Jacob all of a sudden and why is he good? Like I was literally so confused that I had to go back because obviously like I was listening to it. So the dates, I'm not listening, obviously.
Mhm.
Like they have to really be like 1776 in the past. And I'll be like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
this is a flashback.
that happened to me. Yeah, exactly. Attention.
Attention. This is a flashback.
So when I had to go into the book and then like start pinpointing, and I do like doing that. I do like when an author like not a puzzle, but like integrates some sort of like I like when authors play with timelines. Just like I said, I just didn't think it was that effective in this one. But I do like that we have to sort of kind of make our own like understanding and timeline. And I think when an author does it effectively, it is very effective. In this case, it did confuse me.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because I just didn't feel like it made a difference.
Right, yeah.
Like
yeah.
I feel like this tactic should be done when it makes a difference in the novel, and in this case, I just didn't feel like it was done. Or it could have been done like once or like even once, like just okay, this is Jacob's chapter, and then maybe what would have been effective is if we went back and forth between the present timeline, Jacob being the enemy, and then shifting chapters where okay, now we're in the past again, and Jacob and Komoko's like story being also developed at the same time and then meeting Komoko at the end, I think would have been a much more effective thing. It would have chopped the book down because then we would have the chapters where the kids meet and then they go figure stuff out. I think this sort of like shifting of character dynamics and plot reveals would have been a lot more engaging, I think.
Yeah.
I like historical fantasy and I like when evil people are like revealed, and you go in the past and you see them as like more positive figures. One of my favorite book series does this very well. The Last Magician
Bye.
highly recommend. Lisa chat. Hold on, I stopped and you caught me. I was like, maybe it won't be that obvious that I don't
You
remember.
said, the Last Magician.
Lisa Maxwell.
It's definitely at the end of a sentence. Definitely not the tone of the end of a sentence.
Lisa Maxwell.
I liked Alice a lot. I liked Charlie as well. I felt like they did kind of bogged down by this constant sort of like inner like refrain about his past and where he comes from and his dad, and just too much of laying it on after a while. But I thought Charlie was good. And I thought like Miss Harrogate was interesting. Like I thought that like her sort of like the reasoning why they left a lot.
Why does she like Alice?
Yeah, he left a lot of mystery in there, which I thought was good. And I thought that was interesting. And I liked Kamiko as well. I thought she's a cool character. But you know, and I wanted to like, I guess like is wrong because I did like Marlowe, but I didn't really care about Marlowe at all. You know, like whether like what happened, like in him and Charlie's relationship, it didn't really like, it didn't really like work for me. Like I didn't really believe as much, like, other than the words being said to me that they had this deep bond that, you know, Charlie would do all this stuff for him. So there's that. And there's the like the other thing I just want to say is like again, this is one of the things about him using plot points we've seen so many times. The amount of time it takes for him to like reveal that Beargast has ulterior bad motives, I'm like, dude, 300 pages ago, I knew that this guy was not on the up and up. Like, this is not a reveal. Like, so just there's an underestimating of the audience a little bit in the book too. That and it wouldn't matter to me as much if it didn't make such a meal out of revealing that he's a bad guy and giving you pages and pages and pages and pages from multiple perspectives of different people finding out that he has ulterior motives. That's like, I don't need like the blind school marm and the Miss Harrogate and Alice and Charlie and whatever. I don't need to see them all getting the same information that one of them already got. So, you know, but so that was the stuff that I liked and didn't like. And more specifically, Justin, what's the stuff that you really liked?
I think you nailed them. You like basically nailed all the good stuff. Like I thought the action was good. I thought the train scene was probably my favorite part of the entire book.
Yeah.
Because it felt like there was a lot of stuff going on there. What was the character's name that raised Marlowe after his original surrogate left?
Brent.
Brent.
I'm going to say Brent, but Kelsey's the one to listen to it.
It is Brent.
Okay.
All right, Brent.
Yeah.
I thought of Bryant the whole time, but
I also, like, when I was reading it, I like didn't believe the audiobook.
like it's this great moment where she comes up and stops the monster, the lich, and then she jumps off the train with it, and I'm like, well, we'll see her again later. And you only see her again later in the Land of the Dead. Yeah. That's like one of the falls of the book. Where it's just like, I don't understand why this happens. But I thought the action was good. I really vibed with Alice a lot. And maybe that's because I had a face on her and I didn't have a face on a lot of the characters.
Oh, yeah. You didn't say who you thought that she should be.
Go ahead, Bobby.
No, you can tell. It's your.
I don't remember. I don't remember actors' names. I only know their faces.
Natasha Lyonne wasn't that the one that you said for Alice?
Oh, I love Natasha Lyonne.
Everybody loves Natasha Lyonne.
She has a smart ass attitude. She like doesn't take shit from anybody, and like Bobby's like she physically doesn't fit the profile.
She's like 4'2".
Like I also don't see her in this role.
Yeah. No, she does. She shouldn't be in the role, but that was the picture. That was who I had in my head.
Yeah.
And so I liked any page that she was on.
Yeah.
And I liked when they actually entered the world of the dead because you hear about it so much throughout the entire book, and it's like, let me see what this is about. Let me see like what's going on here, and then you find out it's like literally a place where you just walk around. And there's buildings and stuff.
So I was like, down.
Yeah, it was yeah, you're right, and I was intrigued by that. But I think the best part of the book is like he does write action really well.
Yeah, he does
And
right.
that's not an easy thing to do, even though it seems like it's an easy thing to do, because you read plenty of books where the action is just like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
It's all coming at me really fast, or it's unclear of what the stakes are, who's where, who's doing what. So yeah, I thought the action was like the best part of the book, and the train scene was the standout of that.
I agree.
And then like Kelsey asked me before, like what's like the one thing I want to see? I want to see how they get Marlowe out of the Upside Down. We're gonna call it the Upside Down from now on.
They got to go to that other or sign or whatever that they talked about at the
Orsine.
end. The Orsine at the end.
Just a side note, I always forget that Natasha Lyonne isn't my queer icon that I think she is. Just saw her pictures with her with Fred Armisen. I was like, oh yeah, I blocked that from my memory. Yeah, that's literally. I have nothing else to say unless you guys continue talking about the plot. Like the thing that I hate the most about like 3-star books is that like I don't feel a specific way. Like I'm like, yeah, it was okay. But like books that I give 1 star to, I'm like, I vehemently hate this and I want to talk shit about it.
Yeah.
And then like 4 and 5 stars, like I would like to talk about like
what
everything
great
that I love.
A great book that we could have read all together was Leave the World
You
Behind.
picked this book.
I know. First of all, there were other books that I wanted to read before this one, and you guys were all like, it's too long. They're too long. They're too long. And we settled on Ordinary Monsters, which is longer than any of the other ones that I wanted to read.
Not how it happened.
Yes,
that's
Kelsey,
exactly how it
happens. To be
happens.
fair to Justin here, you are the one who eventually settled and agreed to Ordinary Monsters. That was when you're like, let's do Ordinary Monsters. It's literally on
because it was the only
recorded.
I wanted to read this. I wanted to read the what was it? The Ferryman. I wanted to read a couple of other books, and you guys were like, oh, they're very long. And you were like, what about Ordinary Monsters? And I was like, okay, yeah, like I wanted to. I read that. I wanted that was on my list of things to read.
It's because it was the only one that I had heard about.
Of course.
So I was like, if people talk about it, it must be good. Boy, was I wrong.
A little behind the scenes on us picking books. Kelsey's a giant pain in the ass when it comes to us.
It's because I have so many books. I have literally 300 unread books, and you guys always pick books I don't have.
That's not our fault.
I'm like, how
Kelsey.
is this possible?
Our fault that
your addiction is not our fault, okay?
Yeah.
Also, The Ferryman was nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award. When I saw it, I was like,
I read it in the time after, and it was very good. I liked it a lot.
What'd you give it?
Did I think I gave it 4 stars.
I regret my life. When I saw that on the best like science fiction, I was like, this isn't about boats?
This isn't about boats.
Just joking. I know.
So I read in the time. We're just switching subjects.
It's because we have nothing to talk about with this.
No,
book.
because it's a 3-star book.
I could talk for a long time, but there's something constructive I have to give.
Oh yeah,
it's like
really
in the middle.
It's in the middle.
It's a very in the middle book. I would say like.
Sorry to J.M. Miro.
The same thing you said, Kelsey. Like I would say like my threshold's probably a little lower than yours because I don't think I disliked it as much as you did. I did like chunks of it. If this next book comes out and the reviews are really, really positive, then I'll probably pick it up and read it.
If the reviews are touching upon things that I disliked about this book, I will pick it up. But I am giving this to my local Village de Valor and taking out my little tabs.
Is that like a donation place?
Village de Valor is Value Village.
Okay.
You monolingo.
All right. You
So
know that we don't speak French, so you could have just said that.
I know, but it comes out.
I'm looking at the reviews on Amazon, which I think
For this?
look for this book.
Okay, go on.
It's 4.5 stars.
Yeah, it has a very high aggregate score. Yeah.
4.5 stars. 51% of the people who bought this book rated it 5 stars. 30% 4 stars.
Amazon,
14 out of 1,700 ratings. So like that's why I feel like I fall into the regular old person picking up a book.
But you rated it 3 stars, so you don't
rated it 3 stars. You're like, no, but like I didn't rate it. Kelsey wanted to rate this thing 2 stars.
I am changing it now.
She did.
She being 3% of the population.
Don't try to act like you're a man of the people, Justin.
Yeah,
I'm a man of the people.
No, you're not. You're like us.
What percentage rated it 5 stars?
51.
And how many rated it 4 stars?
14.
So 65% of the people rated it higher than you, Justin, which just by pure numbers,
I know you
means
don't
you're
want
not
to
in
be
the
like us.
majority.
Yeah, I know you think that me and Bobby are too
Not like you guys.
judgmental and
You're
whatever,
way
and
too
you think
judgmental. I
you think you're
refuse.
better than us.
I don't think I'm better. I just think I'm more basic.
But you're
Sometimes
not.
basic is
You're
fine.
not. You rated it 3 stars. The difference, if you know what I mean, is that you seem to like have like a just like you often like, you know, kind of like put yourself down when you're talking about the books. It seems like you put yourself down when it comes to how you spend your time. Like you're like, no, it's 3 stars, but I don't care that whatever. Like, what's my time worth? I can read 700 pages if it's mediocre.
Yeah.
To be fair, I do bang out books pretty fast.
I'm so proud of you.
You do read books.
You're Kelsey Jr. A+ for extracurricular activity.
Can we talk about how bad Leave the World Behind is?
Oh, I'm halfway through it and I'm
Fuck,
really
that book
liking
is
it.
so bad.
So I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
We can definitely talk, but you know what's crazy is that I know you rated that book badly and you did not like it, and then I saw the trailer for it and I was like, this does not look like the synopsis that I read when you were like, oh, look at this book. And so I went to reread the synopsis because I thought I was crazy. I was gaslit by the next Netflix commercial.
Yeah, because the Netflix commercial is just like.
It also looks bad though, I have to say.
The Netflix commercial was like, yo, this shit sucks. We gotta jazz this up a bit to make people like want to watch this movie.
Here's one thing. I'm reading it because I own it and I want to watch the Netflix movie.
I feel like I would like it.
I'm gonna watch the Netflix movie.
So if I watch, but I know if I watch the Netflix movie, I'll never read the book.
No.
So
the book is like you could take
the book is 230 pages or something.
Book, so
I'm halfway through this 230 page book, Leave the World Behind, and I like the way it's written. And
I feel like I'd like it too.
I'm like I'm very intrigued. So
I also felt the same way at that point in the book.
But here's the thing, and this is just the way my brain works, right? As far as like how I rate things, there is no singular plot point that can happen in the book that's gonna make me rate 1 star if halfway through the book it's like 4+ stars for me.
I feel like you might eat your words
like
one
2
day.
2 stars, 2.5 stars. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's going to end up at a very high rating for me because I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, there's so many things I want to say right now, but I'll wait.
I have so many books that I've rated
Justin,
1 star.
You more than most people that I know turn your opinion on things based on like singular plot points.
I literally can't say anything without ruining the book.
That's fine, but I'm just saying, like you often will be like, I really like this book, and then this thing happened, and I hate it now.
Okay, well that's not fair because if we're talking about books, the only book that I felt that way about was one that basically took one of my biggest fears and was just like, "Ah, you got to read about this for the next 200 pages." Other than that, like I might turn on things where it's just like, oh, I really like this, and like at the end, I really wasn't that crazy about it. I'm pretty forgiving, which is why I can read a book like this and be like, it was fun. Maybe I probably will read the next one because it took me, I don't know, 4 days to read this.
But for me to turn,
for me to turn on
you gave it 1 star. I went on Goodreads because I was like, there's no way he actually gave it 1 star.
Fucking, I gave it 2 stars and then I thought about it a little bit more and I was like, no, fuck this shit. I'm giving it 1 star. And then I read other people's reviews of it and I was like, you know what? That's right. I
love when I go on Goodreads and I validate myself. But it does have a really low rating. Like
it does have a low
3.17 is like
for sure. It's a low rating.
But
so low.
I first saw that book. It was on like I think it was New York Times or one of those. It was like 10 best books of the year, and I was like, oh, that plot like sounds kind of interesting. Bobby has to think it's on Long Island, so I know exactly where I know what they're talking about without them having to say it. I'm like, I know where that is.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. They're a little bit like meshing geography a little bit. There's definitely one point where they're in Southampton, 100% they're in Southampton, and then they go to the beach at Smith's Point, which is like 40 minutes away from Southampton.
Because I was like, first of all, when they brought up the flight 800, right? It was flight 800.
That memorial is at
Smith's Point Beach, and I was like, they're in Smith's Point. I thought about it for a second. I'm like, they're in Smith's Point. Yeah, that fancy's in Smith's Point.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
they're out here in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, guys, there's no middle of nowhere in that part of Long Island.
That's like 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah, I know where this is. But anyway, I'm not saying like I am enjoying it just fine so far. I'll finish it probably in the next couple of days, and then I'll rate it and see how I feel about it. I did read and finish Daisy Jones and the Six in the time that we did this book, and
What are your
that book
thoughts?
was 5 stars. A fantastic read.
When I first read that book, it changed my life. I was like, this
You became a
is
70s rock star.
literature. Like, I think I made a whole Instagram post. It was like, this is my favorite book of all time, and everybody needs to. I told everybody about it. I have the vinyl record from the TV show. I don't want to talk about the TV show, honestly.
I watched the first episode of the TV show,
It
and
disappointed me.
I was like,
Elvis's granddaughter, Nepo Baby 5000. I don't want to talk about the TV show. Anyways, the book is fantastic. And there's another book that I think you would like because you like this book. And it is called Opal and Nev.
oh, I've heard of
The
Opal and Nev.
final, something like that. It's very similar. I also give that book 5 stars. I really liked it too. But Daisy Jones and the Six is just a superior
I bought it. I have
did
it.
buy
novel.
And I'll eventually
I'm
get to it.
so
I went
scared.
to Barnes & Noble last night, though, and added like 5 more books to my list. So
One day you guys are going to be with me with the 300 books, and then somehow we'll make a Venn diagram.
my
I
Figure
do
it
have a
out.
bookshelf full of books I need to read. I only have not been buying books purposely.
I mean,
'cause
on the
I'm
last
like, I have too many
last podcast we did, I added 25 books to my cart from that website
book
instead of
outlet?
listening to the podcasts that
Yeah,
was on.
yeah. We remember.
Oh, we were here.
Mhm.
I contributed enough.
Yeah, I
what book did we do last? What book did we do last?
It's gone from my brain. I don't-
Confessions.
Confessions. We did
Confession.
Confessions last.
That book was good. That was a
book was
5-star
great.
book.
Yeah,
That's a
thanks.
5-star book. We saw a trailer last night that made me think of it.
Oh,
when
that
we were watching
monster
Godzilla.
movie. That monster. Yeah,
Yep, so I was
Monster.
like, Is
yeah, this Japanese movie called
Godzilla?
Monster. It definitely has like Confessions vibes to it.
Yes,
It might be Confessions.
It's
because
not. It's not. It's not.
It's
It's not.
not.
It's not. The story is too different. Like the trailer is too different, but it has like that sort of like vibe to it. Like
I wonder if it was a book.
Japanese like school violence, basically.
If you
I
are
read this
into
book.
Oh, horror
Yes.
store, right?
I read this book in one sitting.
That's on
I
my
sat
Christmas
down
list.
and read 225 pages without getting up and thought this book was fantastic.
it's
I'm a-
so fun.
Grady Hendrix fan.
So fun.
Oh,
Have you
and I
guys
also-
read Battle Royale? I think
also
I
read
have
this
not
book.
read Battle Royale. Oh, the kaiju.
This
isn't
book
that
was okay.
Godzilla?
No, it's like, well, kaijus are Godzilla. This book was on a bunch of like best
No.
sci-fi books.
Godzilla is a
It was good.
kaiju.
Do you not know who Godzilla is?
Of course I know who Godzilla is.
Of course I know who Godzilla is, she
He
says,
was-
while she Googles
grew up-
I'm a
Godzilla.
big
In the
fan of his
90s.
Insta.
No, I know who Godzilla is. I just literally have never seen anything with
Godzilla is a kaiju.
I also mostly know about. I knew that, and that's why I asked because someone explained.
I have it
That's
on my
this week.
bookshelf.
That's this month. That's as soon
Just
as I
like-
finish. Oh, because I'm halfway through or 3/4. No, about a halfway through the Brass City.
City of
Which
Brass.
is-
City of Brass.
City of Brass. I'm sorry, which is
And-
confusing as all fuck. There's a lot. There's a like. I need a Venn
That's a book
diagram.
I went with the flow.
Like
I just accept.
that's basically what I'm doing. Is just like I don't. What tribe is this?
Mhm.
Who hunted who?
Yeah, that one I went with the flow, and I was along for the ride.
But there's the chemistry between the two main characters, and
Who?
I'm like, okay,
Who?
the two main characters, the
The girl and the
girl and the guy, the girl and the genie.
warrior, or the
Yeah.
the genie. Well, you spoiled it, but okay. genie.
The back of the book literally says genie.
Yeah, but maybe people don't know. Rude.
Oh, and I
If
also
you
read
guys,
this.
you're
Sorry,
just
I'm
a
on a
reading
roll.
machine. This
I
man.
read The Wager.
Oh, you read The Wager.
What is that?
The Wager by David Gran.
Is
By
it a
David Graham?
nonfiction?
It's not fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
it was.
this
It
was
was
very
nominated for a
good.
Goodreads Choice Award too. No.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was. It was. It was also nominated for the Barnes and Noble, and it's on like the 10.
It's actually Barnes and Noble's author of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that I see the cover, this is why I mixed up the two books, The Ferryman and this, because I knew there was a boat book.
Yes.
So you just don't want to read about boats.
I don't like boats. Every book I read that has a boat aspect, I don't enjoy it, except for A Dark Shade of Magic.
It's a very specific.
I swear to God. Even
Fuck
like there's a
boats.
Brandon Sanderson book that takes place. I'm not going to say which one, but there's a huge boat aspect to it. And I was like, oh my God, get me off this boat. And I actually thought that I was going to hate that book. I actually thought I was gonna hate the book, and then I ended up really liking it. But it was I had to get used to the boat part.
Get me
I don't
off
think
this
I'm a boat
boat.
bitch.
Get
Yeah,
me
I'm
off
really.
this boat.
I was literally dying, guys. I wanted to be off the boat. I'm like, I can't read this anymore.
That's so funny.
But a darker shade of magic. V. Schwab is just my queen, so obviously
I've
I
got
didn't
The
mind it.
Wager in my TBR and what is it, Dead Wake or whatever, that Larson book, which are both boat books.
Sounds boring.
You're getting a peek, listeners, into what it's like to try to pitch a book to Kelsey for the fucking book club.
No, like I'll read what you guys.
I'm like,
if you
guys,
guys both were like,
here's like
no,
8
we're
books
reading.
I'm thinking about, and Kelsey's like, sucks, no interest, get out of here.
I see why you have a problem.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I really can't be buying more books, so you guys are very limited too. Except for like when I'm like, okay, I'll listen. Like Ordinary Monsters, I bought it. The Mountain and the Sea, I bought it. What other book did we read that I had to buy?
I don't know.
Star Wars?
Born?
No, Star Wars, I had it.
Born?
Born, I had it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it then, right? That's all we did.
Well,
right?
what's the next book we're doing?
We're doing Last Night in Montreal.
It's true.
It's true.
I have it somewhere over there, but I don't feel like getting up just so you guys can't see my mess.
It's sort of a make good for Justin's pick that we were supposed to do.
I'm
for
so
book
excited to
club
read this.
many moons ago. We were supposed to do The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel, and we didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're gonna do. And at that time, Justin and I both read Glass Hotel and Sea of Tranquility. And
Both
Kelsey,
fantastic.
you've read Station 11, right?
Station 11 and Glass Hotel, yeah.
So we're gonna do Last Night in Montreal, which is the book before Station 11, I think, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
It's her first published book. Because Miss Emily St. John Mandel is a Canadian queen, but I think she's from Toronto. No, she's from British Columbia. They're all from British Columbia, these artists. And I was about to read this book for a video I put out this year about reading books that were like The Last of Us, because apparently there is a tumultuous relationship between the girl and her parents. I'm assuming it's a father figure because it was on lists.
Okay.
But she moves from New York to Montreal. So I'm excited to read this book because, like you guys were saying for the book you guys were talking about before,
Leave the World Behind.
yes, I want to know. I am a sucker for when like it's like, oh, Rue Christophe Colomb. I'm like,
I'm sorry, what?
Saint Catherine. I'm like, oh my god, that's the street. So I'm very excited to see like where in Montreal it takes place. And usually I tend to like little artsy Montreal books.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited because any reason to read
It was
one of her books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was in
And
Barnes & Noble last night, I went over to go look at. I was thinking about buying it, but they only had it in paperback. But then I looked and I'm like, oh, they have all her books in paperback. They're all the same size. They're all about the same length. I was like, these would all look great. But I bought Sea of Tranquility in hardcover, so now all the rest must be bought in hardcover.
I asked for Glass Hotel and Station 11 in hardcover for Christmas. So
I was gonna buy one of them for you for Christmas. So
I haven't read Station 11 yet. So
I haven't read Station 11 either.
Station 11 so good.
That's fair. I read some of it, but I haven't finished it, and I will restart it when I pick it up. But I think Glass Hotel and Sea of Tranquility are both brilliant. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this book because I think she is a stupendous author. So I'm excited about that.
Also, she wrote The Last Night in Montreal while living in Montreal.
Okay.
That's very
My
exciting.
sister's
And
gonna be
I'm
in
living in
Montreal
Montreal.
next week.
What's she doing?
She's coming to visit the city.
Oh,
What's she
thought there
doing?
was something. You know, I thought
What
there
is
was.
she doing here?
I'm sorry.
I thought there was something interesting happening. So I was like, "What's
No,
going
she's just-
on?"
They went up to Quebec last year when they visited.
Quebec.
There's
Sometimes
this
I
part
wish you guys spoke French. That's just a side
in-
note I have. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Kelsey.
Could you imagine my accent with French?
Just
J'attends
going back to Leave the World
voulez-vous
Behind
coucher avec moi?
really quick, Justin. There's that moment because your wife used to work in Southampton, right?
Correct.
And so you've probably been out there a lot, right?
A lot.
So there's a moment I'm reading and they're talking about driving out from the city, right, to go to this house. And he says, like, the highway became a single street going through a town.
Mhm.
And then the daughter calls out that she wants Burger King. And I was like, I know
exactly where that Burger King is. Yep.
That's what I want from Last Night in Montreal. Like, that's what I want to be. I want to be reading this and be like, I made
need
out
her
in
to-
front of this building.
Because I've been to Montreal twice. It's like, all right, will you mention Crescent Street at all?
She will
Probably
definitely
not.
mention Crescent. Are you crazy? She will definitely mention Crescent Street. Crescent
On her
Street.
last night in Montreal, of course she will.
Crescent Street is like the red light kind of area that we have.
My sister, when my sister was going there, and she was like, well, "Where did you guys stay?" I was like, "By Crescent Street," but that's not for you.
No, it's not.
It's not for you. Go into Old Montreal, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Saint Catherine Street and Crescent Street is very
I like St. Catherine Street
sex
a lot.
positive. Yes, but St. Catherine Street is our biggest street. Like all the bars and sex clubs and strip clubs are on St. Catherine Street, so I can see why you enjoyed it. Saint Laurent is where the clubs are, and Old Port is where the clubs are.
I'll be
Crescent
back
Street
there.
has clubs, but they're like for tourists.
So
So
we're not
racist
doing a
against
book club
tourists.
next month, right?
No,
Yeah.
in the beginning of January, we will
Yeah.
not have a live show because we will not have a book. So
Yes.
Last Night in Montreal is our January book club, and the first or
Kelsey,
second, we're
I
very.
gotta tell
Why
you
do you
something
do
right
it this
now.
way?
Don't do it
When-
this way.
Why
we
can't
will,
you
we
just
will
say
be discussing Last Night in Montreal in
in
February.
February?
That's when we'll be discussing.
But it's not February's book club.
But it's when we'll be discussing it, Kelsey. No one cares. People just want to know when they're supposed to watch the thing.
If people know, here's the secret, Kelsey. If people know that we're going to discuss Last Night in Montreal in February,
They're
they
going to
know they
read
need
it
to
in
read
January.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Yes.
you don't need to say it's January's book because that makes more people think that we're doing the show in January.
Yeah. Crazy person.
Fine. The live show is the beginning of February, and I'll be
February.
much less. What did I say? February.
No, you're fine. Yeah. No, you said it right. I was
Sometimes
just being
people
silly.
make fun of my accent, and I never.
I'm
know.
not making fun of your accent, Kelsey.
At work, they
I am.
literally think I'm Sebastian Maniscalco.
I don't know who that is.
I'm
You
sorry.
live in the wrong place, Kelsey.
Like I'm on an episode of The Sopranos. I'm like, this is not my accent. Like I'll acknowledge and understand that I have an Italian sounding accent, but it's not that strong. Please.
No. Trust us. Trust us. It's not that
I'd
strong.
love to
But I
hear
can
a really
understand to
strong
people-
Kelsey New York accent.
But the thing is I can understand to people that come from Paris and France
Yes.
that I do. So it's like I do acknowledge. But to us, the nuances are there, you know?
So Kelsey, a short detour into sports talk for 1 second, but I think you'll appreciate this. The current quarterback for the New York Football Giants name is Tommy
I'm sorry.
DeVito.
Did you guys see his agent?
Oh yeah,
Tommy
Obsessed.
Cutlets, baby.
Tommy.
I
Cutlets.
was obsessed. I saw that on Twitter the other day, and I'm like, sometimes I'm so like
He
loving
does. You know,
of
when he throws
America.
a touchdown pass, he does this. He does the Italian
I
hand
hate that.
gesture. And
I
there were so
hate it,
many
but
people
I
who
love
were
it.
like, "What is this? What does that mean?" And
What
he's
do you
like-
mean? What does this mean?
He's like, "It's just, it's just you do it."
I love
Hey.
I love it. I hate it so much, but I love it so much.
Dude he still lives at home with his
course.
mom.
Of course.
He's like, "Why would I move? She does my laundry. She cooks me chicken cutlets."
There's this TSN Canada sports reporter named Marissa Roberto, and I obviously follow her because she's a Canadian Italian.
Mhm.
And when he said this, she retweeted it. She's like, "This sounds like my brother."
Exactly. Every Italian 20
And then I looked up how old he was, and I was like, "Oh, he's 20."
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
"Of course he thinks like that."
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And like before he was undrafted, so before he got signed to like the main roster, he's making like $60,000 a year or something. So it wasn't like he was making like
lot of money.
crazy football
Yeah.
money.
This
exactly.
guy's made himself
Yeah,
a
millions of
shit ton
dollars.
of
He's made
millions of dollars over the course of
Yeah.
his career
Playing pretty
because
well.
he showed Tommy Cutlets can play in the NFL.
Tommy Cutlets. Hey.
Hey.
And the show is family in every game, Kelsey, and it's like the fucking Sopranos.
It basically is.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so we're so typical yet so
But we never had
fun.
this in New York of the Giants. Like we never had like an Italian.
Yeah, like you guys didn't have your own.
Yeah, like guy's like from New Jersey. He's like he's like, hey,
I love that.
It's great. Anyway, well, I want to ask because I'm sure you don't want to talk about this. 'Cause I'm sure you're gonna do a video about this, but I wanted to ask Justin. Now the year is kind of over.
I wanna be included.
Well, if you can answer if you want, Kelsey. I just don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to infringe on content for you.
Okay, fine, go on.
What was your favorite book you read this year, Justin?
Oh.
I'm looking at my Goodreads.
Did we read The Glass Hotel this year? Was that last year?
I read it this year. I don't know if you read it this year.
I think I read it last year.
I read it at the beginning of this year is when I finally read it. We're supposed to do it at the end of last year.
What was the best book I read this year? Shit.
For me, it is a toss-up between Daisy Jones and the Six and
We did in fact read it last year.
The Midnight Library. Those are the two.
I also read The Midnight Library. That was the other one that I read.
Yeah, you did read that in the time between the two book clubs.
Jesus Christ, I read like 8 books between the 2 book clubs.
You did read a lot of books.
Probably Sea of Tranquility.
Sea of Tranquility is also fantastic. You're right.
They're so different, but I will say it is a toss up between Sea of Tranquility and Horror Store.
Okay.
Cool. They're like again opposite, completely different type of books, but like I think Sea of Tranquility is beautiful and extremely well written and just captivating.
Fantastic.
But I sat there and read Horror Story in like 200 something pages in like one sitting because I literally couldn't put it down and just loved it and thought about it after it was over and was just like, I want more of this.
Yeah. That's also how I felt about my best friend's exorcism. I loved my best friend's
Plus
exorcism.
the book itself is just delightful. Like it was delightful to hold and read and look at all the illustrations and stuff. Like fantastic.
Yeah.
Kelsey, can you actually say this or do you have a video coming out?
I definitely have a video coming out in January about this, but I could talk about some of my 5-star reads and not bring up like the order that they're in.
Sounds good.
There's obviously some rereads. So The Walking Dead Volume 1, solid. I gave that 5 stars again. I think it's one of the best opening volumes. Daisy Jones and the Six obviously got 5 stars. All the Darkest Shade of Magic got 5 stars. But if we talk about the new books I read, Waking Gods by Sylvain Nouvel. He is a Montreal writer. The book's Sleeping Giants. I don't know if you ever heard of it. That series
started that book. And
it's a lot of fun.
It's one of the few books I ever put down.
He DNF'd it.
I can't believe you read the entirety of Ordinary Monsters, but a 300-page book that takes place that is written in an interview format.
I think it was years ago I did this.
I think you should reconsider.
I probably will. It's because I saw you rate this and was just like, I should give this book another shot.
Yeah.
But it was years ago that I started it and just
is so good.
It's a very cool premise.
Good. Yeah. Then Be Not Afraid of Love, do I have it next to me, is a nonfiction I read about being not afraid of love and being vulnerable. And so obviously it was very personal. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I give all of R.F. Kuang's books 5 stars. Okay. I love her as a writer. Gideon the Ninth.
Everybody's best.
Yellowface,
yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth. So I have Harrow here. I don't know where I put Gideon. This is Lesbian Necromancers in Space. It is at the same time the most complicated books I've ever read in my life. And you don't understand the book for 95% of it. And then in the last 5%, everything makes sense. Incredible. Incredible series. And then She Fell is a Canadian Indigenous author. I also don't know where I put this one, but it's a Canadian Indigenous author, and it's about the horror of becoming a mother, but also having the generational trauma of being an Indigenous woman in Canada while also married to a man that was studying anthropology, and she met on the reserve. So there's obviously a fear there and a fear of her child. And it was fantastic. And I think that one will be my number 1.
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah, it is a spoiler because everything else like is from people I've read before, so I don't feel like they're shocking. Because like even V.E. Schwab's new addition to the A Darker Shade of Magic series was also a 5 stars, but I don't feel like I had to mention that. So I feel like that's like if I put that as number 1, it's like
Yeah.
when like and then she fell shocked me to my core. I felt like it was so much better done. And Gideon in the Ninth and Harold the Ninth. And now I have Nona, which is the next book in the series. I don't know where I put it. And then Electo, the Ninth, is coming out next year.
I just love it's Gideon the Ninth. It's like, okay, Gideon's like that fits. Harold the Ninth.
Harrow.
Oh,
Harrow.
I'm like Harold the Ninth.
No, it's not like Dune.
No. That was not to get me started on Dune.
This child is the chosen one.
Paul.
He will what's his name?
Paul. And his mother, Jessica. I'm
Jessica.
sorry. What the fuck?
And his protector, Duncan, Idaho.
I can't. No, I can't.
Fucking rad.
I can't.
Duncan, Idaho is a great name. I don't care
In the movie, it's rad. I will not disagree with you, Justin. The movie fucking rules. But
I can't. Out of all the names, we have so many modern names, especially of the 70s, that could have been a lot cooler. Paul. I don't.
Paul.
And
you know, the going from this to this
It's a
is
skill
just
that I have.
one. It's just one motion. You're like
when
one
you're
step.
Italian, you gotta.
You're one step away from being Kelsey Cutlets.
Yeah,
I am Kelsey Cutler.
she is Kelsey Cutler.
I just said that people at work always.
So I read 15 books this year, which I know is a minuscule compared to you, Kelsey. But it's the most I've read in a long time. And most of them were like the second half of this year, basically. That I read them.
When you guys rejuvenated your love.
Yes. But I had out of those 15, I had 5-star books in the 15. So I had a good run this year.
That's really solid.
Yeah, the 2 Emily St. John Mandel books I read, The Glass Hotel and Sea of Tranquility, Midnight Library,
all good.
My Best Friend's Exorcism, and Daisy Jones and the Six.
I still have to read My Best Friend's Exorcism.
I need to read that too.
My Best Friend Exorcism was one of those books I read it and I loved it so much. I gave 5 stars, obviously, and I just like adored it. But it was one of those books where I'm sure you guys both have books like this or anything that you watch or read or whatever, where I finish it and I was like, I gave this 5 stars. I love this. I was like, if someone gave this 3 stars, I would not be surprised. You know, it's like one of those.
Oh my God, yeah. Sometimes
know?
I read 1-star reviews of my book and I'm like, yeah. Like,
I've
you're
read
not
18
wrong.
Books. 18 books this year.
Good job, Justin.
Does
Most
anyone
of which
wanna
came
know
in
how
the
many
last
I
3
read?
months.
Kelsey, and you must have read 150.
150 books.
You're wrong. I
100 no, wait.
slacked off these last few months.
You're over 100. I'm going to say you're
I'm over 100 for sure.
14.
You are 124.
You cheated.
Oh, what are you talking about?
You went to go
How
look.
would I
That
ever
was so
be able to
exact.
cheat? How would I ever be able to cheat?
Because it says on Goodreads.
Oh, yeah.
But I slacked off the last few months. Like in October, I only read 10 books. In November, I only read 7. That's sad of me. I feel like I've been in like a really bad like life slump. And so I haven't been reading as fast. I also read an indie fantasy and I really liked it, but it took me a really long time to read it. And it's taken me a really long time to read my middle grade books. And then I don't know who I thought I was, but I put 2 Wheel of Time books on my December TBR.
Oh my God, Kelsey.
I'm not getting to them.
No.
Why? No.
Oh my God.
Because I just want to finish the story so I can get to the Brandon Sanderson written part.
I thought you didn't like The Wheel of Time. You
I
told me
hate-
this. You said
I hate
bad
this.
books, to be honest, is what I told you.
You give me guff about reading all of Ordinary Monsters and being like, I'll read the next one. You're like,
I won't read all 14 books.
hate this book.
Yeah.
I will see it through.
Yeah, it's not that I actively hate them. I give them all 3 stars because I do see the potential. It's like with Ordinary Monsters, actually, just bringing it in a full circle. I see the potential, but Robert Jordan does not know how to relax. I don't need to know everything. I don't need to know every thought process, every decision that they make. And everybody's telling me like, it gets better. I'm on book 5. And there's 14 books plus a 600-page novella that it's not a real book. 600 pages though.
So,
And
go ahead, Kelsey, finish, please.
I don't think it'd be classified as a novella if it's 600 pages.
I know. It's a short. I don't know. It's whatever. It's an
It's
addition.
not a short
to the
story.
series.
600
It's-
pages.
It's a short story.
Guys, look it up. I
That's
know
a
it's.
fucking novel.
I know, but it's like it's like it has a different name because
Okay.
it's added.
All right.
But
It's like the
Brandon.
Silmarillion.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's Brandon Sanderson writes the last few because Robert Jordan died.
Yes.
And I
know.
know that it gets better then. Like I know when Brandon Sanderson takes control, I will like it. I just have to slog through. And people even say like, "Oh, books 8 through 12 are garbage." And so I looked it up. I was like, "Can I skip 8 through 12?" Because if nothing interesting is happening, I'm going to skip them. I'll get to the Brandon Sanderson books faster. And then someone's like, "No, but there's like this one thing that happens in like chapter 7."
So do you
I'm
just
like-
read like a synopsis of it?
I have all the books. I bought them.
Okay, Kelsey.
So,
I'm gonna say what my goal for next year is.
Oh yeah, what's your goal?
oh yeah.
My goal for next year is to read this entire series.
Yes. I
Okay,
will do it with
can
you.
you let me know when you get to just Bobby, do you remember what book I'm at?
You read The Drawing of the Three, right?
No, I think I'm at the drawing it.
That's the second book. The Drawing of the Three is
Oh.
the second book. Is when you meet Eddie and Susanna and Jake becomes a bigger part of the story.
Mhm.
And then the third one is The Wastelands, I think.
I think I'm at the Wastelands.
Okay.
I'm at the third book, and I think that's why I
The
screamed
Wastelands
at
is
the
the
drawing
third
of
book.
the
The
three.
fourth book is The Wizard in Glass.
Yes. Okay, so when you get to book 3, Justin, hit me up.
Okay.
I will read it with you, Justin.
I will also-
I'm meaning to reread it anyway.
Okay.
And
And then can you guys give me a synopsis of what happens in the first 2 books?
Okay. So the my goal is to read 24 books this year.
Okay.
That's my goal. So
That's 2
hopefully
books
it's
a
more.
month.
It's 2 books a month. That's my goal.
I will match your goal and hit
that-
24 books.
That's what I'm trying to do. I think I should be able to do it pretty well. But
Well, if you read a book every month with the
the
for
book club,
class,
and then another
you're halfway
book
there,
on top
yeah.
of that. That's my thinking, which is kind of what I did the last half of the year anyway. So I think I probably pretty much keep that pace up. But my next couple of reads, we got, of course, Mistborn, which we're doing. Which Kelsey, I just want to tell you, you tell that Robert Jordan goes too hard, but there are 4 maps in the beginning of this book.
I have yet
Yeah,
to open
they're
the cover.
crucial.
Now I'm upset.
Yeah, exactly. Look,
yeah,
Oh God.
we got
Yeah.
4
yeah. Continue. There's nothing wrong.
4 maps. So anyway, so this is next up is Mistborn. Whenever Justin finishes his book that he's reading, because I'll Leave the World Behind pretty soon. The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, which I've had for years, which I haven't read. Also very short. Legends and Lattes, which I've heard very good things about.
I heard good things about that book as well.
It seems very like light and airy and fun to read, so I'm looking forward to that.
It's a nice palate cleanser.
And then Kelsey, of course, what she says is boring.
oh god. Oh,
Dead Wake by
Eric
Larson.
Larson.
And I've also got The Wager, but that is a Christmas present. I'm giving my dad The Wager and giving myself The Wager because we're going to read it together. It's like a little book club for ourselves.
Very nice.
So
Oh, good luck with Eric Larson.
I read back when I was like, I don't know, I'm the opposite of Justin. When I am reading a book that I don't like or I'm not like vibing with, I'm like, okay, I'm done with you, and I like throw it into a pile of ash, basically.
Yeah, Ordinary Monsters going in my reject pile. That's what I mean.
But I read I don't know, a long time ago now, back when I was still in grad school, I think I read a chunk of Devil in the White City, which I enjoyed, but didn't get through all the way through. I know that you and everyone on Goodreads is like, but it's about 2 things, and I want it to be about 1 thing.
That's not my argument.
And I'm like, but
that
the
is not my
book
argument.
on its face tells you it's about 2 things.
You're misunderstanding my complaint. You're misunderstanding. It's not about that. I just said I love when chapters are interrelated. It's not about that. What I said was that it's 2 books on very different subjects and they don't relate at all. There's a very thin line of correlation between the 2. And it's like there's no reason for it to be that long and for the stories to connect on such a he literally scraped the bottom of the barrel to find a connection.
She's so mad.
So mad about
I hated that book. I was
about
so
this
mad.
true story that happened.
I was so mad because he scraped the bottom of the barrel. Like he just wanted to write about the freaking World's Fair. So just write about it. Why do you have to pretend like these stories are related? They really were not.
But there was also a serial killer, Kelsey.
There was a serial killing occurring at the same time of the World's Fair.
Yeah.
However,
That's what the book is about.
I know, but what he is actually doing is talking about the architecture and all these failed plans of the World's Fair. And then he's like, by the way, at the same time. And it's like, but they're not related. Like, what does the failure of the architecture have to do with the murdering that was happening in a random hotel? They were completely unrelated. He was scraping. He's like, they happened to happen at the same time. And that was how he put them together. And then he slapped on a fancy title to get everybody to read it.
I want to know what people think of when they watch these book clubs. Like, these guys are all fucking lunatics.
This one's totally off the rails.
This one's
Because
off the rails.
this
You know
one's
what?
really
I
off the
think
we didn't want to talk about the
we
book.
usually stop the podcasts like
Before we go on
25
these
minutes
runs.
ago,
Yeah.
and then we do this afterwards. We just left it all in.
Well, because we didn't talk very much about the book itself. So.
Yeah, so I was like, let me give it that 1 hour and a half that we usually have.
You know what? I think these are better discussions than our.
I love this discussion. Anyway, I'm
This
excited.
could be,
I'm
we
excited
could
to read
have a
this.
second segment in the book club. Like we could keep like 1 hour to the discussion and then half an hour of like what we're reading and whatnot. I think that would be cute.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Good,
I just know that I usually don't want to do that because I know that you do whole videos about that. So I feel bad because I feel like we're stealing your content.
I don't feel bad.
Well, Justin doesn't care about
Okay, rude.
how long. Justin doesn't care about what it takes to run a channel and
Yeah,
actually program
I also
it.
don't tell you about my future plans. Besides the fact that I somehow, for some reason, thought I could read these 2 Wheel of Time books. But I have one secret video coming out, and then I have a week where I'm gonna read some Star Wars books,
I
and then
wanna
I
read
have
that
a
book.
manga day that I'm gonna do.
The Secret Worlds, the Secret History, the one
Oh,
that
yeah,
Kelsey
Secret
hates.
History.
The
The-
Secret History.
Oh, the secret. Oh, another boring ass book. But that's my example of the fact that you guys are just giving into the hype and you're not forming your own opinions. And then you're
How
like,
can we
oh,
form our opinion? We haven't read the
Ooh.
book, Kelsey.
and you're like, oh, everybody likes this book, and Kelsey's being a hater.
You are being a hater.
You are being a hater.
Yeah, but you guys don't have the right to call me a hater. You haven't read it yet. If you read it and you give it 5 stars, then you can call me a hater.
Okay.
Kelsey, I've read The Martian, loved it, and you gave it like 1 star.
That's fine, but I hate Andy Weir. We're not meant to be friends. I made a video once where I was talking about how I gave Andy Weir another chance, and then I inserted the clip from Twilight where Dakota Fanning's character just throws the baby into the fire, and I was like, "This is me with Andy Weir."
Wow, that's harsh. That man has a family, and it's just a book, Kelsey.
I
Take it down a
really
notch.
liked The Martian a lot. I know people love Project Hail Mary, but I could not
I liked.
finish it.
I kind
I
of
think
want
The
to
Martian-
read it to see.
I
You
liked
only read
Project
The
Hail
Martian?
Mary.
No, I read a bunch of his short stories because I can't be bothered
Okay.
to read a full length novel from him again and learn about how a man feels about potatoes.
That book is so good. I don't. You're
That book is
crazy.
so good. The thing that you said that drove me crazy is like, well, once I learned Andy Weir was like, once I learned that the main character was going to be fine, like I didn't really care about the rest of the book. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, the main character is going to be fine. It's the main character of the book.
No, they
I mean-
could die.
I mean, main characters
There's
could,
no rules.
could die, but that movie is also excellent. The movie is very, very good. And then I've got a whole shelf in the other room full of books that I just need to read. so
I
can-
have like 15 books on my
unhaul
shelf
them.
that I have to read.
Also,
far.
again, misunderstanding my argument. I understand that main characters live until the end of the book, but let me believe that they're gonna die.
The man's
What-
on
what-
Mars.
what's the reason that you knew that he was going to live? What
There was
was the,
something that happened.
because the movie came out?
Because
Did
Matt
you hear
Damon
about
was
it?
in it. Did you picture Matt Damon the whole time you were reading the book?
I did actually. I had the
Oh, I read
like
the
the
book.
movie cover.
yeah.
Oh, I read the book before. the
I read it
movie came
before,
out.
yeah, before the movie came out. So
I think I should read Project Hail Mary, and I'll make a video and I'll call it books from authors I hate, and maybe I'll read Dune too.
I would love it if you read.
I would be. I'm itching to read Dune too. I'll
What
be
if we
honest.
did a
I would
movie
watch your
podcast
Dune
and we
2.
watched Dune together? Because I
So,
need to rewatch Dune.
I had this
and
idea. Again, not that we need. Well,
more content.
Justin and I don't care because Justin and I only do this for content. We're content agnostic right now.
Aficionado.
Yeah, but
Content retired for the most part.
content retired for the most part.
That's true. You
But
guys are coming out of retirement for this.
I
Thanks.
did think about it. I was thinking literally the other day, Justin, about a second club for us where we watch adaptations of of books, and whether we read the book and then watch the adaptation or not, that's
We
up for
could,
debate.
because there's so much that I don't know. Like
But-
everything that Stephen King's ever written that's a movie, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I learned that there was this fun little, what it was with you guys actually. The movie that's not scary, but it's Stephen King and it's about boys.
Stand By Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He has a lot of non-horror short
I know,
stories.
but I forget.
But I forgot. So that was one of the things that I was actually thinking that, Justin, like Dune or whatever. Like there's so
I
many.
need to rewatch Dune before I
Leave the
listen
World
to.
Behind was something I was thinking about too, because they just came out. So
I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
But we would have to like really plan it, because I would
Yes,
need
of
time
course.
to read the book and watch it. And it would and should we
No,
would it be 1 month, 1 month?
no. What we do is we watch the movie live and record it.
like a
No.
reaction, like we could be reactors. You're talking
reaction.
about.
Like
We're,
film-
No.
we're,
film
we're
in 40s.
reactors.
That cuts into monetization like crazy,
Why?
because it's illegal.
Well, yeah,
No.
but there's
You
plenty of
release it as a
there's
pod- you
plenty of
release it as a-
YouTubers who just
Yeah,
cut
but
it
I
up.
don't know how they argue
They
with
cut
it.
it up. They cut it up so
They
they
cut
don't ever play more than like a certain amount of time of the movie, like on the video.
Is
for-
that how they get away with
Uh-huh.
it?
Yeah, for sure.
You know how many
Uh.
people like literally film themselves watching a basketball game on YouTube and then just like they're just like
Yeah, but
filming their reaction like a live
Yes,
podcast?
but it's okay if they don't want to get monetized.
But these react like YouTubers, what they do is they cut it up so that there's never more than like 20 or so seconds being shown of the movie at a time.
Mhm.
Oh, I
and
would say
then-
just don't even show the movie. Just
And what they do, no, you have to do that if you're really gonna want people to watch it. People aren't gonna want to just like.
you just
like-
do it as like like you have people like do it as a podcast.
Yeah, but then
all.
that's a very niche thing. That's like Kelsey needs the views, the clicks.
the
on our
clicks,
channel.
the clickety
Yeah,
clack.
I'm trying really hard.
Um,
I'm upped my thumbnail game. Like I'm trying to make my content interesting. I got a microphone,
Just put Bobby's face on all the
I got a
thumbnails.
microphone.
like that attaches to my phone. I mean, because I have a microphone. I
Yeah.
have two actually,
Are we
because
sure?
back when I thought the microphone was the problem and not me.
But yeah, we can talk about it. We can figure out our plan. Maybe in this next month when we're not doing a club, we'll talk about it. But maybe we could do like 1 month is like just a straight book club. The other month is a book and a
Mhm.
movie. That we pick a movie that an adaptation that we want to read or something like that, and then we can watch the movie and talk about it as well.
Kelsey, I need you to read. What's the bad book?
The bad book.
Leave the World Behind.
Oh,
You could read that in like a day and a half, and then we'll watch the
it
movie.
wouldn't take her a day and a half to read that book. It's 230 pages.
Yeah,
That's
I can
like
read that.
That's like an
in,
evening for Kelsey.
Yeah, I can. 230 pages. Like if I really put my mind to it, I can read it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Especially with an audiobook. Let's actually see if it's available at my library. By the way, the New York Public Library,
Mhm.
haters.
They revoked your membership, your fraudulent membership to their service.
But like honestly, I don't understand why they care so much.
Because you're not paying them. Your tax dollars aren't supporting them, Kelsey.
Yeah, but you guys, I have 2 people who support me and bust the taxes.
um,
I'm so mad because they have such good like audiobooks.
our local library has really good stuff. Justin
My
refuses
local library too, but
to sign up for the app.
What audiobooks? I just can't do it.
No. I'm talking about like just the library app where you can even get like Kindle books.
ebooks, yeah.
Yeah,
I love spending money too much.
I know. I'm like,
Same.
he's like, you can get it from the library. He's like, okay, I'll just buy it.
Oh, you just reminded me I had to buy a tracksuit.
Okay, why? Can we know? I know we're still live, but
Okay, yeah. Why don't we say goodbye?
I want to say goodbye to the live.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
the
We'll see you in
Ordinary
February for
Monsters.
Last Night in Montreal.
Yes, and in February we're reading Last Night in Montreal by Emily St. John Mandel.
Mhm.
It's her first published book. Takes place in Montreal.
Excited. And
I'm excited too.
We will in our new segment where we discuss books we're reading. Justin and I will definitely talk about.
Oh
So-
yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, and then we can talk about it too.
I'm excited to read it as well.
Even if you
Awesome.
guys are not done, you could tell me like your preliminary thoughts.
We'll be done by the time February. We'll be done.
Okay, excuse
Have some
me.
faith, Kelsey.
That's a faith.
was
I
just
read
giving-
Ordinary Monsters in a month. I can read fucking Mistborn in a month. Okay.
Oh my god. I was
Alright.
just expressing. Anyways, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Kelsey.
And thank you everyone for joining us.